The Colombia Cali Mission, it covers kind of the southern, southwest part of Colombia. So it borders Ecuador and then right up to the ocean. So there's kind of like two or three main areas. So there's the kind of the Cali area. City's pretty big. It's like 7 million, something around there, population. You can Google that if that's not right. I don't know. Something around there. So yeah, it's a big city. So there's 3 stakes. At least there was 3 stakes when I was there. I'm pretty sure there's still only 3 in Cali. So there's a lot of missionaries in Cali. Everyone will spend at least, a couple transfers of their mission in Cali. And then there's some cities, neighboring cities or towns from Cali. That's kind of pretty much the same thing, whether they belong to one of the stakes in Cali or there's some other districts in other cities, just kind of half an hour north and an hour and a half north, in cities called Palmira and Tuluá that I served in both those areas. Good places as well, kind of same feel as Cali, same climate and everything, pretty much hot and humid the whole year. And then the 2 kind of different ones that's not like Cali is when you go down south. So it's about a 10-hour bus ride from Cali down south to a city called Pasto. And then you go 2 hours further down south from Pasto to a city called Ipiales. And those 2 cities are in the department called Nariño. So that's kind of a different feel from Cali. It's kind of colder weather all year round. Not super cold, but just kind of like a sweater, or a sweater vest kind of weather. Kind of like in the 50s, 60s all year round. So not too bad. And that's right up against the border with Ecuador. Ipiales is like 5 minutes from Ecuador. So right up against the border, you get a lot of kind of influence from the culture of Ecuador there. And the missionary work is kind of, I would say almost, that's where the mission had the most baptisms as well. Almost like the kind of Ecuadorian people are more, I don't know if they're more open or whatever, their culture. But yeah, that was definitely the highest kind of baptizing place in our mission was there down south. So that was my favorite area to serve as well, was in Ipiales. So definitely a good experience there. And then the other area, which just opened up while I was on my mission, is a city called Buenaventura. And that's right on the coast. And that's hot, really hot and humid all the time. I never served there in Buenaventura, but from friends that serve there. Usually the missionaries, they won't fast or anything there because it's just so hot and humid. You have to keep drinking water when you're walking around. But the missionary work, yeah, it was doing great there. They had 2 missionaries open it up, actually 4 when I was there. I'd been there for about 3 months and they just barely opened that area up, sent 4 missionaries there. They started baptizing people. And now they have a branch there that is part of one of the stakes in Cali. And the mission president travels there often to kind of oversee the branch. I don't know if it's grown at all since then. I've been home for a year and a half, so it may even be a ward now. I know that they had kind of the first missionaries from Buenaventura leave to go on their missions that were baptized 2 years ago. So there's been a couple that have left there to serve missions. They had attendance of like over 100 there for a while, so going pretty well. Everyone loves it there. Definitely kind of a little bit different in that, in Colombia you'll see people from almost fair-skinned like Americans to, kind of your normal Latin kind of looking, and then all the way dark-skinned black people. So Buenaventura is known as a coastal town, and like all the people there are black. And people love them. I mean, they're just great people to be around. Super open, super nice, super kind. But yeah, definitely a poor area as well, the majority of it. So it's majority Catholic in Colombia, as it is, I'm pretty sure, in most of South America. So yeah, I mean, there's Catholic churches like you see Mormon churches here in Utah, kind of every couple blocks. So yeah, everyone there is Catholic, whether they practice or not, it's a different story. But everyone will say, at least 90% will say that they're Catholic. But it's really not like a super strong, like, anti-Mormon Catholic or anything like that. They're pretty open to kind of hearing about different churches, at least for the most part. But yeah, there's definitely a strong belief, like, in God. strong belief in the Bible, so at least you have like those things to work off of. We never really had to teach. I mean, once on my mission, we had to kind of teach someone that, God existed, but everyone else had that basic belief, at least in God and the Bible and stuff like that. And the missionaries, I mean, they get to become like fairly well known in some places, People have heard of them. I would say in Cali, there's kind of a main like train station or like train system that they use with like different buses that just go to different places and stuff. And it's kind of funny because the people that like work for that like main transportation in Cali, it's called the Mio. They kind of wear like white shirts and dark pants. So a lot of times, like a couple times when I was in Cali, we got like asked on the street, like, "Oh, hey, like, where's this bus stop?" Or like, "What train do I get on to go this place?" And we're like, "Oh, no, like, we don't work for the Mio. We're missionaries." So you'll probably get that if you're in Cali for a while. But other than that, people are pretty open to missionaries. Usually people have at least seen them before, unless you're maybe born into it when it hasn't been open very long. I would say the biggest challenges overcoming, like for people to get baptized, would be kind of law of chastity. I mean, there's a lot of people that live together that aren't married. Sometimes they'll even like say they're married, but they're really not. So yeah, that's a big one. Just kind of the culture. People just don't get married. They just start living together. That's just kind of the culture there, and it's a little bit more expensive to get married. So that's part of it as well. And then also people drink a lot of coffee there, even in Cali where it's hot. Colombia is kind of known for their coffee. So they produce a lot of coffee and drink a lot of coffee there. So those are kind of two big ones. Other than that, I mean, as far as drinking and smoking, not too bad. Just kind of regular, what you'd expect anywhere. Down in Ipiales in the south, they do kind of drink a little bit more. I don't know whether it's the cold weather or they get kind of the alcohol cheaper from Ecuador and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely drinking's bigger in Ipiales. But yeah, the biggest thing would definitely be kind of just getting people to keep the law of chastity, marrying couples that aren't married. That's definitely kind of the best solution when you think of them for their future, because, splitting up usually isn't a good option. I mean, I wouldn't recommend like any missionaries like encouraging a couple to split up. And obviously like trying to have them keep the law of chastity without being married isn't going to work very well either. So definitely trying to help people get married is the best option there, I'd say. The way that works, I mean, hopefully your senior companion will be able to help a lot with that. And they also have people in the offices, in the mission office, that are kind of specifically assigned to help with that. So you just kind of gather the information from them that you need. I don't remember exactly what it is, kind of like name, birth date, birthplace, and of both people in the couple and the relationship. And then you have to, basically, if you send all that information to the mission office, at least when I was there was someone that would help you do that, to be able to pull their papers, kind of get the like marriage license for you. And then, yeah, you go to the kind of notaria. But yeah, it's almost like going to the DMV. You kind of have to like wait in line for a while and stuff, and everything legal like is done at that place. So then there's just the way that like the actual like ceremony would work. I mean, you basically just go into this room. It's like you go into the DMV. It's almost like same setup as that. And then there's kind of just this room that you go into the back, can fit maybe 20 people, maybe, and just the couple sits in front and they perform the ceremony. It's really not super complicated, as long as you can find their birth certificates. So that would be the only complication. So there's different secretaries that are assigned in all the missions in Colombia to help specifically with that, kind of getting marriage licenses and birth certificates to where they need to be. So yeah, it's not overly complicated, I would say. And then just kind of doing fundraising. Usually people do like some fundraising stuff to kind of raise the money to pay for the marriages, because you don't really, I mean, some people you might have like the inclination to kind of just like, oh, like I'll just like kind of pay for their marriage, it's only like $60, because I mean, some of them they're only like $60, $100, like, oh, not a big deal. But I mean, that's kind of not really, I would say it's frowned upon. you just don't want to kind of like start creating that culture and having people like listen to the missionaries just because we'll pay for their marriage and stuff like that. And when people, kind of sacrifice to do it, it's definitely kind of a bigger commitment for them in their marriage and then in getting baptized as well. So there's only one temple in Colombia, and right now it's in Bogota. So that's outside the mission. The missionaries never get to go there. But that's where the members will go, usually stakes or districts or branches. They'll take at least one trip to the temple per year. The members just kind of have to raise their own money to pay their way, and they'll all get on a bus and go to the temple together and spend a day or two there and then come back. And then they're building another temple in Barranquilla right now, but that's even further away from the Cali Mission. That's way up north. Yeah, I think they just started construction on that temple. As far as church history, don't really know much, to be honest, about that. But the church is going pretty well right now. And then the areas that I served in, so I started my mission in Cali, the main city. I was there for 4.5 months in an area called Ciudad Modelo. It's kind of one of the more poorer, kind of dangerous areas. There's kind of a district in Cali called Agua Blanca. So if you kind of like talk to people about like, oh yeah, I was in Agua Blanca in Cali, like even like the Colombians are like, oh no, that's dangerous. So, and then after 4.5 months there, I went to a little town called Hamoudi, just half an hour south in bus, half an hour south of Cali. There's only 4 missionaries in Hamoudi, pretty small town. But yeah, it was a great place. There's just one ward there in Hamoudi that is part of one of the stakes in Cali. There's a church building there, so it's great, good place. And then I went to Palmira. Palmira is about a half an hour north of Cali, and the population's about 2 million, I think, in Palmira. So it's another decent-sized city. There's 3 church buildings in Palmira, I think, maybe 4. And then there's a Casa Capilla, which I went to for a little bit. That's like, basically it's just kind of like a house that they rent out where they have church at. Because they don't have, a church building there. So that's a good place as well. And all of them, climate-wise, kind of same thing, hot and humid pretty much. You'll just be wearing short-sleeve shirts the whole time, and that, it says that in the mission handbook. And then after that, I went to Ipiales, and that's where I was for 6 months. That's way down south, like 5 minutes from the border with Ecuador. And there, yeah, you'll definitely want a sweater. I wouldn't worry too much. I mean, if you don't bring a sweater with you, I didn't bring a sweater with me because I didn't really kind of realize that maybe I'd want a sweater. There was kind of old sweaters that were left in the mission apartments that missionaries, kind of bought and just left there because, when they go to Cali, they don't want to take them with them. Or you can buy a sweater there. It's not too expensive. So, yeah, just kind of like a black or, plain sweater is kind of what, the mission wants you to wear. Or anything dark colored. So basically that's what you just kind of wear over top of your white shirt. And it's a good place, great place to do missionary work. That's where I had the most success on my mission. Probably out of my whole mission, I was there for 6 months, but I probably had more baptisms there than I did like the rest of my mission combined. So definitely a great place, a lot of open people there, listen to the gospel. And then after Ipiales, I went to Tuluá, which is an hour and a half north of Cali. So that was like a 15-hour bus ride to Tuluá. And that's a great place, Tuluá. It's just a district, and it takes in another town that's about half an hour to an hour away. And there's a couple church buildings there as well, 2 church buildings. So it's fairly strong, even though it's only a district. Doesn't have enough priesthood and stuff to be a stake, but it's a good place. Great branch presidents, at least when I was there. Super willing to help. Same climate as Cali, kind of hot and humid. Oh yeah, and then one other area that I went after that I didn't mention before is Popayan, and that's halfway in between Cali and kind of the southern Pasto and Ipiales area. So the climate there is kind of like halfway in between. It's kind of like in the 60s, 70s all year round. So it's not like cold, but it does rain a lot. So when you're there, you definitely want like kind of a rain jacket and umbrella.